Hello and welcome to Dr. Viola Voila Voices, a YouTube series and podcast produced here at ICAM in gorgeous Ipswich. Today I'm joined by special guest Carolina Weatherall, who we met recently at my Ipswich Cultural Grant Project. The stage is yours. Welcome, Carolina.
Thank you for having me. It's really fun to be here.
Any pronouns and pertinent details just about yourself, like how you self-identify, like writer, artist, musician, poet?
Wow. So a lot of that we're figuring out,
Yes.
but...
Me too. Still day to day, it could change. Like one can become more important one day than the next.
Yeah.
But I was just curious, like, I don't know, my mentors always told me to like lead with three things.
Yeah.
Things that people can remember. So it's like Carolina Weatherall. What are those three things?
All right. Carolina Weatherall. I'm loving this idea of writer. I want to carry on that. Music, I'm not a musician.
Oh, you're a musician. We're going to talk about it.
I'm an amateur musician and proud of it. Second violinist. Loves to revel in harmony. I have always used she pronouns.
Yes.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
And we just before we jumped on, we were discussing how we first met. Because it was a few months ago now, the Stage is Yours grant project I did with Ipswich Cultural Council.
Yeah.
But you were describing the funny story of how you even ended up there.
Yeah.
Because I know we did try to put posters up around town and word of mouth.
Yeah.
But as a resident who was going to school and you were visiting, correct? How did you hear about the event?
Yeah, so I was at Sandpiper. Shout out to
It's delicious.
our local
I just found
bakery.
out you worked there too.
I do. They're so kind, and I also it's great to work there because my goal is to eat as many pastries as possible.
Well, I can't tell. I'm jealous.
And I take home far too many, but
Yes. Well, I'm sure I used to work at Starbucks and we would have to get rid of like end of day items.
right. So you have to take home.
Yes.
I start to panic because I don't want to throw them away. So
Exactly.
I take home all of them.
Do you freeze them? I started freezing.
Yeah, I definitely freeze them. I text all my friends. I make foot deliveries. I can't drive. Fun fact, I'm learning. But
But you said you actually went to Sandpiper on your day off.
yeah, so I went to Sandpiper on my day off with a friend who's about to move to Portland. And the funny thing was, I had wanted to go to Portland that day because that was the day of the Portland Pride. But it's also, again, I can't drive, so I would have had to take the train and then go into Boston, and then you go. So it's a
you
whole
have to go down to go
4-hour
up.
ordeal. So I was like, okay, next year maybe. And then I went to Sandpiper, and then
You said you ran into Marlia
I
Rose.
ran into Marlia, and they were advertising some sort of event that sounded like maybe it was a traveling theater group, and I thought,
I
that
want to know what
great.
Marlia said. Like, what were the words?
I don't remember.
Like a troop of random artists.
But I remember a group from Tufts years ago came and did like a children's version of Midsummer Night's Dream, and I was like, that's great. I'll go see that again.
Was it outside?
It was in the meeting house.
It was in the meeting house.
Yeah.
Oh, fun. Yeah.
So I was like, I'll be there.
Yes. So you just showed up alone?
I showed up.
Yeah,
and
I love that.
yeah. And then lo and behold, drag queen. It was great. And I was like,
yeah. What do you think of the event? Like, how did your
well, the funny thing
change
is,
from when you sat down?
it's funny because as a musician, I feel like sorry, I said I'm not a musician. A person who plays the violin.
Yes. I would call that a musician.
I feel like I'm pretty aware of musicians in Ipswich who are very good.
Yeah.
But I had never met you
I
before.
moved here relatively recently, a little over 2.5, almost 3 years actually now. But I feel like it takes at least 2 years, people say, to become established and people to know about you.
Yeah.
So I appreciated you coming. And then the fact that you came up afterwards, and then I harassed you to come on this podcast.
Well, that was such a joy. Well, first of all, I saw the viola and I was like, oh, cute, maybe you'll play a song. And then you like...
I forget, did I do my drag mix first? I can't remember.
I don't remember. I didn't get there at the beginning.
Well, because I had my pianist there too. So I feel like I accidentally like rambled too long and then I was supposed to open the show.
Well, I didn't come for the opening anyway, so...
Yeah, I think I did open the show,
Okay.
but then I was supposed to do another thing with my pianist, but I think you saw it because I ended up
I
squeezing
did see
it near
you
the
do
end.
I think you introduced it, and that was fabulous. And I was like, okay, clearly this is a PhD in music, has done a lot of music.
Just because from my rambling, or
from your playing.
oh, just the playing. Thank you.
And then you played while Coda
Yes.
read.
No, we improvised that. We didn't rehearse at all, and that was so fun.
And I was like, this is you're reading my heart, what I like to do and think about. And sometimes I have no filter when I get excited about things.
Same.
So there was my demonstrated filterless enthusiasm.
Yes. Well, no, I appreciated you coming up to me afterwards and so excited. Then
Yeah.
when I found out you lived and grew up here in Ipswich, and this series that I did, The Voices, was intended to first meet people.
Yeah.
Because I had lived here over a year and I felt like I wasn't meeting any other artists or just people in the community that I could relate to. And then because of the podcast, everything led to the Cultural Council and the grant project. And then you. And I'm so excited. You're my final guest in this season of my first, it's almost been an entire year of this podcast. And I just feel like I've met so many amazing people, different backgrounds, cultures, ages. So I was excited to have another young person who you just graduated. Congratulations from Bowdoin in Maine. How was that experience? Because I know we talked a little bit. I did the music festival.
Yeah.
But then finding out you were just telling me Bowdoin's not really known for music, even though they host this
Right.
like amazing world-class festival.
Yeah, so Bowdoin is not known for music, although in the music world, many people have, classical music world, Western classical people have heard of it because of the Summer Music Festival, which I felt very lucky to experience as a student at Bowdoin because you get to go to the concerts for free. I, of course, didn't know that. So I emailed and said, hey, can I usher?
Oh, you thought you had to usher
I thought
to
that
get...
I had to
Oh, I
usher
would have
to
thought
get
that
it.
too. You're not allowed.
But also, when you usher, you can talk to the musicians,
or
which
go
is like
backstage
what I want to
and-
do. Again, the filterless enthusiasm. So I did that, and also I got to make friends with all the wonderful older retired people who live in the Brunswick area and
Go to
usher
the
every
concerts.
year. And then I was on the email list with Lori. Oh gosh, I can't remember her last name, but she's wonderful and she coordinates everything. And she would email me in February and say, hey, we have a concert series at the pizza restaurant downtown.
Yes, I went there.
And I said, yeah, I would love to usher that. Yeah, but Bowdoin was really wonderful. And I mentioned this briefly beforehand. High school is kind of I don't know, it's an interesting
I feel
experience.
like it's an interesting experience for everyone.
For everyone. But yeah, I loved being in college and suddenly having that, I don't know, there's so much new, so much to try, and I really tried to sample from everything. So that was, anyone going to college, sample everything.
Well, I commend you because like I wish when I went to my undergrad, it was a similar distance to yours. I grew up in Arizona, but like I'm sure for you, well, maybe not sure. Like for me, it was just enough distance. I was about 3 hours north from my family, and Bowdoin's pretty similar, right?
Yeah.
How was that experience for you where like you said perhaps it was far enough and in a new enough place you were able to explore many different sides? So can you explain your transition then, like going into college and then, I don't know, finding yourself more or what you were interested in that led to this project that we'll talk about, this partita for 4 readers.
So, oh goodness. Growing up, I think there was a point where when I was very young, I was so fearless about trying everything. And then there's a point where I thought, oh no, I can't try this because I won't be good at it.
Yeah. What do you think there's something about that? Because I had the same thing in like my transitional periods, like my maybe final 2 years of high school. I had some traumatic experience happening with my mentors and my teachers that led to that, perhaps for me.
Yeah.
Was that your similar, or was it more of like, oh, I see all these people getting ready for college, and then it's like, maybe I'm not ready kind of experience?
Yeah. It's definitely interwoven. There are some physical health, mental health, social experiments, and whatever. All just melding, and then COVID.
Yes.
Then we all
well,
went
because
home.
you started college, were you applying during COVID, or did you already get
I
accepted?
applied during COVID.
Okay, yeah. Which I feel like, that was such a strange time for everyone. And then a lot of university programs, after COVID, they dropped a lot of programs.
Yeah.
So was that your experience at all going into, your major was English writing?
English and German.
and German,
Although
yeah.
am the youngest in my family and thought I should major in molecular biology because
cool.
no one else did that.
Yes.
And I was like, I have to do something
You're like,
new.
what have my other siblings done? Can't do that. Can't do that.
Yeah, but as a side note about Bowdoin, I forgot to mention this. It's one of the few colleges I got to visit early on, and the reason I did was because they were performing the Firebird Suite.
I love the Firebird, Stravinsky. Yes.
Exactly, and the violinist, Anne McKee, is incredible, but she also runs ultra marathons. So she would wake up at 5 a.m. to go practice, and then she would go to her classes, and she'd practice more, and then she'd go running for 2 hours with a cross-country
Wait, this was
team.
your violin instructor?
No, this was the musician who did the solo for the Firebird
that's so
Suite.
fun.
Yeah.
And how did you find this out about her? Did she give a talk
I did
pre-concert?
my little research.
Oh,
but,
you did? I love that. You just stalked her. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So, and of course, I emailed her because at the time I was a track athlete.
Oh, fun.
I don't know. That's kind of a complicated story too, but.
And she responded though.
She responded.
Yes.
So we talked on the phone, and she talked about balancing music and running. I ran cross country, but I would have done high jump in high school had I continued that, but in college. So that was fascinating and also really compelling about this liberal arts institution that both celebrated music and
Encourages
everything
other
else.
things.
And I love the director, who I can talk more about him later because he just brings so much joy to the program.
Musical director? Like conductor?
Of the orchestra.
Oh, of the orchestra.
Yeah,
Yes.
conductor.
Yes, you started on violin. You've been playing violin since what age?
About 6 years
Yes,
old.
yeah.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
And you strongly identify as a second violinist. I like that even more.
It's because I went through so much stress of being like, I have to be first violin. Yes. And then I realized, wait, actually, I kind of love the second violin.
Yes. Honestly, the inner harmony parts, and they get some of the rhythmic energy and a lot of string quartets.
Yeah.
Did you get to do chamber music at all, or was it all orchestral?
I haven't done a lot of chamber music, but I've always been a chamber music aspirant. And it's because I've done so many things. Like, I do music and I love music, but I was the artistic director of the student theater group, and I was a teaching assistant, and I was doing a research assistant, and taking classes and writing a thesis, and taking violin lessons. So I couldn't also do chamber music.
No, it's too much. Yeah.
But I do it with friends.
Yes.
So
That's so fun. So you're writing, studying German, doing all those things you just described, and then can you describe the journey of your writing through school? Because I'm sure it might be similar to music, where there's a lot of very specific project-based things that you need to do to fit within certain parameters. But then further you get in your degree, my experience was I got more choice. Like, what do you want to do? What's your contribution?
Yeah.
Which you said you won a prize for this final article that was part of your graduation project. Can you describe it more? Yeah.
Yeah. So I forgot to continue on this thread, which is a habit of mine. Going back a little bit, I used to be fearless about trying things, and then I became more fearful. And I remember specifically in high school, I was taking a ceramics class, and my teacher was like, "You're good, you can make a nice teapot, but it's not doing anything except it can hold water."
Yes.
And it has a flower on it. And I thought, well, what's wrong with that? I like it being utilitarian. And then I came to college, and I was afraid to try English classes because I had some writer's block, whatever. And then I took an English class, and it was great. It was a critical class about Victorian literature. And then somebody said, oh, you should take this fiction class of this great professor. So I signed up, and the lottery works with classes, and I got into the class, and then I almost dropped it because I thought, I can't write my own things. I need to read more first and learn how.
Your own individual ideas, yeah.
Yeah. So, but then I kept it, and I had a lot of fun. And so then I took the advanced class in the spring, and then later on I started thinking about nonfiction as a form. A year later, I started devising my thesis, which is entirely unrelated, but it's about my great-grandmother, and it's a nonfiction kind of memoir biography.
So did your major change then? Or is it more of a liberal arts degree?
No, it never changed. It's a
Okay,
liberal arts
It
degree,
is,
and I
yeah.
could just take classes wherever. But
Yeah.
as long as I got the requirements done. So then I was encouraged to take a nonfiction class. And I didn't know what nonfiction was because I've read memoirs, and I've read a lot of really bad memoirs. I was like, I hate memoir.
Yeah.
I love memoir.
Yeah.
And then this really wonderful professor started last year, and she's on the tenure track. But it's also kind of like, how on earth does Bowdoin College have this professor? Because she is friends with all of the incredible, like Maggie Nelson, Melissa Phoebos. Yeah, just these people who are Denez Smith, poet, wonderful, wonderful, renowned writers, contemporary writers. And she was like, oh yeah, my friend, Catherine Lacey.
Yes.
What? Anyway, so she's wonderful. And I took her class in the fall, and it was called The Fractured and the Lyric, which was a really compelling title to me.
Yeah.
But still I was wary. So this was this fall, senior year. And so we read some really fascinating essays. Of course, we read Gertrude Stein, an excerpt from, I think it's called Tender Buttons. And that's it's almost cubist in style. It's very fractured. We read, I don't remember the title, but it's something about a log cabin quilt. Maybe it's called The Log Cabin Quilt. I can't remember what it's called, but it's an essay shaped like a quilt, and it talks about quilting while it also makes an analysis about who does the quilting.
Oh, so
cool. And then also it's a metaphor for, I don't even remember what it's a metaphor for, but something.
Yes. Very deep.
Yeah, and then I read this really interesting essay by, I think it was Eula Biss, maybe don't quote me on that, but called The Pain Scale. I believe it's Eula Biss. And it's about the medical pain scale and about the experience of having to say, how much does it hurt on a scale from 1 to 10?
Yeah.
So she goes from 0 to 10 in order, and then also
With her own experience?
With her experience,
Okay,
but
yeah.
also like culturally. And what's it like to be asked, how much does it hurt in the way you identify as a person, whether you're a woman, whether you're whatever. So it's, that was really interesting to me. And I thought, this is a person who doesn't care that her essay doesn't read in perfect prose from point A to point B, because it is broken. It'll start at 0, and then there's a large page break, and it's just an objectively ugly piece of white page. And then the next page starts with 1 and 2 and so on. And so then I thought, that's fascinating. And then also in this class, we were encouraged to give a presentation about a piece of art of which we're obsessed that was an essay. So
What was yours?
Mine was music.
Yeah.
But people talked about dance. People talked about basketball. So I talked about
Basketball art?
it was great. A friend of mine did that, and she is on the basketball team, and Bowdoin women's basketball is like really good.
Oh, I'm not surprised.
So that was really, really fascinating to listen to. I talked about Caroline Shaw's compositional style, which, having written this essay now, I feel like is kind of essay in its way. But I spent so much time, and you're not supposed to spend very much time on this project.
Yeah.
I spent so much time on that, and I was like,
It was like an overnight project.
this
You're
is
like,
so cool, because I was reading all of these interviews with Caroline Shaw and also looking at whatever scores I could find for free. I'm sorry, I should buy them, but
oh no,
like little
music's
excerpts online.
expensive. Her
Right.
music, I just performed her Dumbarton Oaks and had to buy it. Yeah.
Oh, I'm
But it's
jealous.
not, you know, you're supporting the artist, which is great. And it's a living female composer, which we need more of, so we're supporting.
Yeah. Also, I will do anything for Caroline Shaw. She's so cool.
Did you ever get to talk to her?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. I was like,
I'll
she
get to
seems
that.
like someone who would, if you're like, I'm writing about you.
Yeah. Another filterless enthusiasm moment. But yeah, so I talked about the partita for 8 voices and how...
Which I had never studied, so reading your,
Yeah, which is
writing.
interesting that I chose that, because I used to sing a little bit, but I'm now more familiar with string music. and the partita is so fascinating because it has a lot of traditionally unconventional sounds. There's a piece, I'd love it, some cultural critic or music critic describes it as angel sex. I think it's in the third movement. I don't know what that's supposed to sound like. Yeah, it's like a lot of sighing. It's so interesting.
Was that the Quran? I can't remember what
I think it's the Quran.
Yeah, because I remember really liking that one too. I was like, ooh, this is cool sounds.
It's really fascinating. And I was just fascinated by Shaw's interest in the sound of things, quote, breaking and then coming back together. So I was like, that's cool. And then I thought, whoa, I'll write an essay about Caroline Shaw. It'll just be like a review about a person. And then I thought, actually, I kind of want to write it in the form of music and demonstrate the experience of things falling apart and coming back together. Also, I don't want to steal that from her because that's brilliant and I don't want to take that. And so it was a lot of like, should I do this? Should I not? Because this is either I'm taking this from her, but I'm also, people haven't done this in essay without, like, separate from music. So there was that, but then I just got too enthusiastic about it and I did it, which was fun.
Or you could have called her up first and been like, is this okay?
Yeah, I'm sure she...
So did you already write this before talking to her? Yeah, you did.
Because it was a deadline.
Yes, exactly,
so I went home for Thanksgiving. I was on the train, and I opened a Word document. And I started writing, not the introduction, I started writing the four-part. And I was writing them vertically. So I love the idea of it reading vertically and horizontally. So I started...
Yeah, I was curious when I was looking at the score, like how this might have looked like. And we could send this to our producer to put in, just to see what it looks like. Because as a musician brain, rather than, like, of course I took English in high school and stuff, but like reading it through as a musician, I see the bar lines. Is that how you originally wrote it? Was with the bar lines?
No.
Okay, it was just the text.
So I wrote it stacked like that, but I didn't have the bar lines and I didn't have the brackets. So it was a little bit hard. And that this class worked so that we would workshop the first version and then we'd submit the final version for our final. And so I submitted it at first. I think I had the brackets. I don't remember if I had the bar lines.
Yeah.
Or I had one and not the other. And I was on the train going home for Thanksgiving and I was writing this and I didn't want to stop. And I hadn't had that. I love to write, but I haven't had this experience where I am so immersed and I don't want to stop.
Yes.
And it's
I'm sure writers talk about that, right? Where it's like you're actually inspired and you're like in it. I've never been in that mode as a writer.
But I was also listening to the partita for 8 voices, which...
Like while you were actively writing it.
Yes. Yeah. It's like, it makes me cry when I listen to it, but in just a really brilliant way, not in a sad way, just in a nostalgically happy way. I don't know. And so it just, it was interesting to be writing that. And I visited my brother first in Somerville, and then we traveled back to Ipswich together. But I remember just like sitting at the table, and he was finishing up some work, and I was doing this, and then I didn't want to stop, and then I went back home. Was he like,
what are we listening to? Or did you have headphones in?
Well, the interesting thing was I described to him what I was working on, and he said, "Oh, that sounds interesting," which is high praise. Yes. So I was pretty happy about that. And then I went home and I finished it and I submitted it. But I went through a moment of thinking, oh no, this is crazy. Why am I submitting this mess? Because I had never seen anything like that. Yes. And my professor had encouraged us to break form, and to do something she calls borrowed formalism, which I think is wonderful. And that is like the Eula Bis borrows from the medical scale, and this is borrowing from the quartet, or in this case, the partita. But but even so, I had a lot of doubt about it. And so then I sent it off, and I thought, okay.
When you sent it off, what format was it in? Or what part of the progression?
I sent it as a PDF.
Okay, yeah.
But I had a full draft, Most of the intro is exactly how it was before. I added more on what is a courant, what is a saraband, etc. But most of that is as it was. The actual music part is quite different because it started as, gosh, I can't even remember. The fourth voice was fully quoting Two Step by Ringdown, which is Caroline Shaw's duo.
Yeah. When I first listened to it, I didn't realize she was singing on it. And I was like, oh, this is so good.
Yeah. Well, actually, I think her partner does most of the singing.
Oh, okay.
But
because I saw the
and they
album cover
harmonize a
and
lot,
their
which
like
is super
pictures are
cool.
on it. I was like, oh.
Yeah. So, but Two Step to me is kind of a. Anyway, I don't need to get into that. But I used to hate love songs.
Yeah.
But
I know
they're all,
you
like,
said that in the intro of this too, and I was like, "What's wrong with love?"
Well, they're all so hetero, and
yes, yeah, this is true. Yeah.
I think I don't know. As a kid, I didn't really understand what was so repulsive about them, to me, and then listening to more non-hetero music, I've been really fascinated by it, and it's felt like it's speaking to me more.
Yeah.
And so this is. I mean, it wasn't the first song because it was written fairly recently, but it's also one of the
so
first
you
that I
listened to the partita, and then what about the two-step? Like, how did that even come into play? Or you were just thinking like,
Well,
this fourth voice, I want something different. Like, what was your mind frame?
Somehow, I don't know if there's rhyme or reason.
Yeah,
I was thinking
just popped
about
into your head. You were like, yes, this fourth voice is fun.
Yeah. So the fourth voice is now, it started just quoting two-step, but now it's talking about two-step, but also talking about Ringdown. The third voice is talking about Caroline Shaw. The second voice, and honestly, I can't remember if the second voice is, first and second are both me. One's more confident than the other. They kind of alternate. But my professor advised that I should have more of my own voice all the way throughout, which makes a lot of sense. So I took out the full quotations for the fourth voice. And also, I don't know, like copyright, whatever. But so yeah, I think I was also talking about queerness and reckoning with that. And there in voice one, it's a little bit unclear. And when I revised this further, I was rereading some notes that my professor had, and she was suggesting that I make a clearer other character, which is kind of funny for me because I felt like reading that back when she gave me the feedback in December, I felt like that wasn't entirely relevant because I wasn't sure if there was a clear other character. It was more of a hypothetical, I'm never making that step type of thing. But yeah, it made sense. Although it is kind of a, I don't know if it's a discordance. It's kind of funny to take two pieces by the same person and superimpose them onto each other.
Yes. Did you talk to any of that with her?
No,
okay,
but
because I'd be curious what she would say.
Yeah, I would like to have an actual conversation about that because what I did was I submitted the final version in December, and then I don't know. I think I got sort of teary, and then I just kept writing. I picked it up and kept editing.
Did you just write one movement initially, or did you do
I write all of it?
Oh, you did? Wow.
Yeah. So and this is the sort of thing where I feel like I'm burnt out because I think this is fun and I don't know how to do something like this.
You can always come back to it later,
again.
like you said.
Yeah.
Like artists are always revising their scores and like.
Yeah, and I have more ideas on musical adventures, but I revised it a little bit more. And I also, fun fact, spelled Carnegie wrong first time around. My professor's like, excuse me.
Well, did you have any readers for this, or was it just you?
I had my class, but Carnegie I think is something I added in later.
Yeah.
So and it's tricky because I had to turn off spell check and grammar. Yeah. Because I would have red lines all over the place.
Yes, well, yeah, with all you separated it by syllables too, so I'm sure it was like, what is this?
So I sent it to the agent of Ringdown, not Caroline Shaw's agent, because I imagine that there are so many things that go to that agent for like this high school quartet wants to play Plan and Elevation. So I sent it to Ringdown's agent, and she responded and said that they had read it.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah, and that they had really enjoyed it, which was really exciting for me and also kind of scary because this is the most raw thing that I've written. And also it's like, this is kind of a wild piece of fan mail.
Yes,
like,
yeah. I was like, ooh, someone did a lot of work.
Yeah, so it's also like, I've listened to a lot of interviews. So, yeah, I don't know. I think like journalists have to do that. You have to really know the subject well. So, but it is a little bit like, well, gosh, yeah, here's the research I've done. But I wanted them to see it because I am proud of it. And I think, yeah, both Caroline Shaw and Danny Lee Parpan have been mentors to me. I think they're mentors to a lot of people, and then Caroline Shaw, especially being a composer, and a lot of musicians play her work. I would love to play her work, but I don't think I could do it justice, to be honest. But I'm so happy to write about it.
You could easily get that second violin part.
Yes. Yeah, so it was really fun to share it with them. And then they were so kind. They sent me a little beanie with their Ring Down logo. And then I went to a concert in June at Bard College. And
of them?
Of them,
oh,
yeah.
yeah.
And it was...
I didn't realize that they perform so often as a duo.
Yeah, so they're actually doing a lot of that now.
Okay, it's more newer. Yeah, because I had never heard this duo, so it was really cool when you sent the Ring Down. I was like, oh,
I know.
Yeah, this is great.
I'm looking forward to the next album. But yeah, so they were quite new, but so brilliant because you have that fascinating, nuanced, complex composer.
Yeah.
And you have the incredibly talented, has a lot of experience more with pop music.
Yes.
So that fusion is so fascinating to me.
Yes.
And also, I've never disliked pop music, but I used to think I did, and I was kind of like, oh, I'm a violinist, I don't like pop music. So anyway, I think that their music is quite brilliant, and they describe it as like cinematic pop, which I think is fascinating. So it was wonderful to see their music live. Yeah, it was such a treat. And then I got to meet them afterwards and talk briefly, and they remembered the essay,
okay, good.
Which was a lot of fun. So yeah, I would love to follow up with more writing musical questions because...
Yeah, but like you said, if it's something that, I don't know, because having written a thesis too, and like all the work you pour into it, and at one point you were super like invested and inspired by it, but of course like art and your work goes through phases, so like you said, you'll come back to it with fresh eyes.
Yeah, well this was actually not my thesis, so I was simultaneously writing a thesis, but
that was your grandmother piece.
So yeah, it was fun to be doing, and I think I work well doing a lot of things at once.
So is there going to be more of this kind of writing musical?
That's the goal.
In the future?
So I would like to do, I have so many interests, so I could do like a critical PhD, I could do an MFA, and I'm leaning at this point to doing an MFA so I can explore more like this.
Yes, yeah.
I really want to explore writing and music further. And writing in more musical forms, I'm thinking about writing about harmony and what that means.
At least talking from my own experience, like compositional, you would for sure get into master's programs just because this is so unique. And not a lot, but like even some of my friends that were master's composition majors, their background wasn't necessarily just in music, similar to yours. Like, yes, you've been a musician and played violin your whole life, but you have something interesting and new to like bring to the compositional world. So like you would get full rides everywhere.
Well, that's the goal. But I just think I think I'm so fascinated. As a German major, I'm really interested in the type of writing that got kicked out of Germany in 1930s. So I think that I'm interested in writing that can be kicked out, or like will make people shift in their seats or feel uncomfortable. And I think that really good art should make people feel uncomfortable in order for there to be a resolution.
Oh, I agree.
And I think, music does that. And I love watching people who are not used to listening to contemporary music listen to contemporary music because
sit in the
they will
suffering
just,
and
like,
the
they'll shift
uncomfortability.
a little bit.
Yeah,
and
they're like,
then
what is
afterwards
happening?
They're like,
and they look around and they're like, other musicians are like,
it's so funny. And then, or just like, as a side note, when there is that resolution, and there's a sigh in the audience, which I love. And they're like, I love going to the Manchester Summer Chamber Music concerts. And that's another thing where I will shamelessly say, can I usher for?
Yes.
And actually this year I got to help park, which is great because I would wave at cars and then I got to see the concert.
Yes.
So, and a lot of the concert goers don't know a lot about music, but they curate the program in such a way that there's 4 movements in the first half before an intermission, but it's like one movement from Vivaldi, one from Brahms, one from Caroline Shaw, one from Beethoven.
Throw in that Caroline Shaw.
Yeah. So it's because it's like they'll superimpose the modern and like 17th century.
And honestly, I feel like a lot of contemporary music is digestible, meaning it's not like a Wagner opera. It's not super long.
And to be fair, they won't choose the super.
Yeah, they'll choose the shorter
like,
ones.
I've heard at Bowdoin Music Festival, like the trickier to listen to pieces, which I love. But I will hear audience members come out and they're like, I don't know about that.
Yeah, that's true. So,
but
they'll choose the ones that are digestible.
Yeah. So, but it's so, I love when the chamber group is so cohesive that the audience will feel like they're a part of it and will feel like they're in on the joke.
That's the power of live music.
Yeah.
Like if you're hearing it live and you're like, oh, the artistry and technicality of what's happening on stage is just so magical.
Yeah.
You could sit through anything, I think.
Yeah.
Or at least I can.
Yeah. And so in a way, that's what I'm trying to do with this writing. I would love to try and do a collaboration with a composer. I haven't showed this to my uncle who actually does write music. It just occurred to me that I probably should show it to him. Maybe I think you actually did interview Chris Florio.
Yes, yeah.
And yeah, so.
Wait, you're related?
Yes, he's married to my father's sister.
Oh, wow, cool.
Yeah.
Small world in Ipswich.
Small world. But yeah, so.
Well, that's what I would be curious too, like reading it through and like there are plenty of pieces that are like spoken, but I would be curious like what this might sound with like actual pitch donation or like me as someone haven't read that many or performed that many contemporary pieces like this. I've done a few, but it's like the duration thing is always so something I'm curious about when you denote it, because I read it here that you're like, oh, the vertical bars, the measures, the syllables can be the beats, but then it's like, do you have then we have the context of a partita with like stereotypical tempo and pacing and ornamentation. So like me as someone who's played a partita before, I could be like, okay, stately allemande, I have a tempo in mind. But then what does it sound in Carolina Weatherall's brain in terms of inflection? Yeah.
So that was the thing that I, especially towards the end of having written a draft, was really trying to reckon with, because there's such a difference between the sarabande and the allemande, but how do I demonstrate that in written form? And I want to start from scratch and do another thing exactly like this, because I think that I was so new. I was trying to stand up, and now I think I can stand and I want to walk a little bit.
Yes, I love that. And then run.
Yes. So I didn't ultimately make anyone read more quickly than another or at a faster tempo. But I mean, I think in revision, try to make some more densely packed with words, which I felt like...
Well, that's what I was wondering too, because I gathered that just from reading it.
Yeah.
Like looking at it visually on the page. Yeah. Certain movements, I didn't know if that was just an editorial decision or a conscious decision.
Yeah. So
like where some words look more spaced.
Right.
And there are spaces. So I'm like, are those rests? I imagine they are.
Oh,
or
that's
are they like
interesting.
elongations of the vowels?
So neither.
Oh, okay.
But I didn't get there because I made measure lines because I wanted them to read in 4/4, 3/4, and 2/4.
So it's just the measures are lining up.
So it's just the measures.
Okay, because I was curious. I was like,
yeah, but I think
because then sometimes you denote with this line So this line
So
is the
those,
space or a rest.
the hyphen or whatever,
Yeah, the
and
hyphens.
dashes are rests.
Rests.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
But-
that's why I was like, oh, are these other ones like, are we supposed to elongate the vowels? Like me as a musician reading, I'd be like, I would assume we would.
Oh, so
Because
interesting.
if you didn't denote a rest as a musician, I'm like, oh, okay.
Okay,
We're
this-
elongating.
So yeah, because I just did it because ickle C is
Yes.
three syllables.
Ickle C, yeah.
Yeah, so I didn't
see.
intend to have that elongated.
Yeah.
But
it
that
makes sense
is-
because visually it's nice to have the measures all line up.
Yeah, and especially like reading together,
Yeah.
and we know when to start.
Exactly.
But I want it to be such that we all are reading at the same pace,
Yeah.
and choruses do it. So
Yeah.
why can't I do it?
Yeah, and I'm not a choral
But
person, so
I'm also
not
not
sure.
a choral person, so I need to figure that out.
Talk to Abby Frost, Chorus North Shore. I just
Yeah.
interviewed her. She was so amazing.
Oh, she's so great.
Yeah.
I sang chorus in middle school, and I didn't go to the high school, but sometimes we did collabs, and it was a lot.
So you've
She's
met
just
her, yeah.
wonderful. Yeah. But yeah, so I was definitely a battle between confusion or measure lines.
Yes.
Although I did just read a really fascinating article in the New York Times by, I think it's Corinna de Fonseca Volheim, and she,
mouthful.
yeah, she.
You said it so confidently, it must be true.
I don't know. I mean, I haven't listened to how to pronounce her name, but she is a music writer, and she was talking about how some composers will write notes in their scores, like you're walking in a field picking flowers, or
like who am I thinking of? A lot of composers did that. Yeah.
I didn't realize so many composers do it, but I know a lot of the German composers will write something in German, which is fun for me.
You're like, I know what that says.
And that, or like Italian, of course, like andante. And so, but I hadn't thought about that so much. And then recently at the Manchester Summer Chamber Music Concert, one of the they introduce each piece before they play, and one of the violinists, before the Caroline Shaw piece, read something that she had written, which was fascinating. So I was thinking about that, and also it's funny that, like, moment of synchronicity, that this piece was published in the newspaper at that time. And then she also mentioned, the reason I'm bringing it up is because she mentions how metronomes are a fairly recent invention. I've never thought about that, but of course, because technology. But I mean, there used to be boxes
Gears
that
and
went back
cogs,
like
and
this. But
I've been watching the Gilded Age. It must be around that time.
But how does the musician in a group cohere without the metronome? And so in a way, that's what I'm doing here. So I was thinking, oh, I really should have a metronome marking for each. But then how does the vocalist?
But I like what I said, like similar, like as an artist, we know like a saraband is going to be slower.
Yeah.
So it's like, and we know like a jig, or there's no jig in this one, but like like passacaglia is more free form, like flowing, like as a musician. So it's like, but yeah, keeping it together with the four voices, that's another thing.
Yeah.
But I know a lot of composers, I mean, not personally no, but like I've talked to some who like, you have this amazing piece of work, and as someone who's thinking more about the writing and the lyric, perhaps you get people to perform it, and that could influence how you end up hearing it too. Because like, honestly, if you find the right people to read it through, or friends or family or whatever, then it could inspire like, oh, I love that.
Yeah.
And that could decide the tempo, like how they just naturally read it.
I was also thinking recently, I like reading in reading voice, but I also like the idea of singing.
Yeah.
So I was thinking about trying to have this sung, but as someone, I would have to write that.
Yes, yeah. Well, I mean, you could work with someone.
Yeah.
Or get that MFA and then.
Well, MFAs are cool because they're at universities, and so I could take an intro composition class, which I would love.
So I expect this to be published then within 5 years.
Okay.
Well, who knows? Because you were explaining, you just graduated from Bowdoin, and you're doing a study abroad program where you're teaching English in Austria.
Yep.
So why Austria?
So
I've heard it's beautiful. I want to go.
I was a German major, which is a very random decision of mine.
And they speak German there?
They speak German with a very strong accent.
Yeah.
Again, youngest child, everyone else studied French, and I was like, I'll do something different.
German.
German is a fun language. I recommend it to anyone.
Yes.
But
I
also
mean,
it's
I love
musical.
listening to it. It is musical. Yeah.
So that's my reason now. Also turns out my great-grandmother who I wrote about was
Even more recent.
born in the Austro-Hungarian Empire, so
Did
I
you
had to
find
speak
that
German.
before or after you majored in German?
After I started taking German at 14.
But then you just identify more. You're like, yes.
But she wrote her PhD thesis in 1925, which is 100 years before I finished my bachelor's thesis. So, pretty cool. Where was I going with that? Yeah, so Austria.
Study abroad. At least for 1 year, you said maybe 2?
Yeah, so it's actually a Austrian Fulbright is what it's called. So it's not, I'm actually not studying, which is sad. I love studying, but
No,
I'm
you're
I'm
just getting
teaching.
paid. You're teaching abroad, yeah.
Yeah, hopefully I can take a local class at a university, but we'll see. Or audit, ideally.
Yes. Just talk to the teacher and be like, can I sit in the back quietly?
Yeah.
I'm sure they'll love that.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I'm like an hour away from the closest university, so, but I can take a train. I chose Austria because they fund me.
Yes. And that's important. We need to fund our artists and workers and teachers.
Yeah, but it'll be fun. I think I'm gonna get a lot of hiking boot usage. Yeah. And
what are you most excited for then? Because I always like to wrap up my episode kind of with like bringing it back to Ipswich, but also like, what are you most excited for in the future? And what does that mean for you as a person creatively or just like...
In the next year, I'm excited to do something entirely different.
Yeah, just be in a new place.
Yeah. And also there are other musicians in the group, in the conglomerate of U.S. teaching assistants.
Is there a Facebook group? How do you know that?
There's a WhatsApp.
Oh, I love that. Even of course,
there's like
a WhatsApp
100
group.
people on a WhatsApp.
And you're like second violinist, writer here.
No, actually, there's a composer who's a student in Vienna, and he sent an email to the whole group saying, "Hey, I'm interested in gathering a group of musicians."
So you're bringing your violin with you?
So I am.
Yes.
It's my personal item.
I love that.
Yeah, so I will bring it, and I'm far from Vienna, but I'm
You could do
going
a trip.
to go there
Yeah,
because
I
I'm
would.
determined.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah, and I fly there anyway. So yeah, that's going to be a lot of fun, and it's going to be sad not to be in orchestra anymore, but such is life. I'll find another
You'll
one.
come back to Ipswich 10 years from now.
Yeah.
I mean, I just talked to another young Ipswichian, and they were like, yeah, like go away, have all the experiences, learn all the things.
Yeah.
And then where do you see yourself eventually, if it's not in Ipswich? Just like your family is here, right? So you'll always come back.
I feel very, especially this time of year when the marsh grass is turning auburn.
I was like, today officially feels like fall because it's like rainy and a little cooler. I'm like, am I ready? It's Leo season is done. I guess I'm ready.
Well, I'm a Libra, so
yeah. So you're like, I'm coming into my
time.
prime. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and then in the future, I want to do more of this, and I also want to celebrate the uncomfortable, different type of writing.
I like how you said that. Uncomfortable writing.
Going back to the 1930s of like the writing that got kicked
like
out
you
of
said,
Germany.
kicked out writing.
Like, I want to
And
do
turn
more
it into a
writing
piece of
that's
music. I hope so.
Yeah. So that's the goal. Just want to keep experimenting and being unafraid.
I love that. Well, just to wrap things up, it's been such a pleasure.
It's been so wonderful.
Having you, and genuinely, your energy and your frequencies that you're emitting from you are just, I don't know. When you came up to me during the grant project, I could immediately feel your energy, positive vibes, and how like genuinely interested you were in, not only in like me and like what was going on in Ipswich, but like whenever I hear someone talk about something they're passionate about, it just makes me more excited and passionate about like working on the projects I'm doing. So keep doing what you're doing because the energy you're sending off of your being inspires other people.
Oh, thank you. I feel exactly the same about your work and also just people that, like, I get so much energy from fantastic people who are passionate about things. Yes. And so I'm a little bit self-conscious because I think, I'm emitting too much, but.
No, what you're emitting, don't hold it back because like I could, like a lot of the names of writers and whatever could go over my head, but when I see the light in your eyes and about how you're making all these connections and creating something truly unique or special for you, other people, including myself, like we feel that. and it makes us want to get out and be like, I need to go write a piece of music right now, or plan a drag look in my in my
If you
case.
ever want to do a collab on this,
For sure, Carolina, I want to collab with you. So I can't. Best of luck in Austria.
Thank
You're
you
gonna
so
have
much.
so many amazing experiences. I want you to soak it all up and get excited and just continue to create new, interesting pieces. And I'm so excited
Yeah.
for you. And safe travels.
Thank you so
And hit
much.
me up whenever you're back, because we'll
Yeah.
hang out and collab
Yeah.
and create art together.
Oh, I'm so psyched. And also just like Ipswich has so much musical, vibrant, artistic joy in it right now. So
Thanks
yeah.
to you too.
I mean, thanks to you. But
And we'll be premiering some of your music. Give us a few years, yes. Well, thank you for joining, Carolina. And signing off, this is my last interviewee of season 1, Dr. Viola Voila Voices. I'm excited to continue with Coda Mihalba in season 2. Stay tuned. Perfect.